Hi everybody, welcome to The Garage. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux, Peter Clayton's behind the camera. This is the Court of Public Opinion, and it is the end of the month. They're flying by. 30th of September today. We'll get to the birthdays later. Yeah, National Memorial Day or Remembrance Day yesterday for fallen police officers. And we thank you for your service and your sacrifice. Nearly 850 men and women have given their lives in the line of duty. Thank you. Now, I always knew it. Daylight saving, which is coming up this weekend, is a health hazard. What do you make of this? Changing clocks for daylight saving time is linked to a potentially deadly brain condition threatening 300,000 Americans, according to a new study conducted by Stanford Medical and Research. They found that switching between daylight saving time and standard time disrupts the body's internal clock by forcing it to adjust too often to changes in light and darkness. Daylight saving is when the clocks are set forward 1 hour in spring to give more daylight time and set back 1 hour in autumn to return to standard time. We all know that. And the easiest way to remember it, I wonder if anyone gets up at 2 o'clock in the morning to actually adjust the clocks. You'd do it when you got to it, wouldn't you? But the easiest way to remember it is you spring forward in spring and you fall back in fall, which is what the Americans call autumn. Anyway, scientists say that the disruption weakens the circadian rhythm. This is the body's internal 24-hour clock that relies on morning light to regulate our body's functions and stay healthy. Dr. Jamie Zeitzer, which is Z-E-I-T-Z-E-R, I think. You can look him up, Google him, a professor of psychiatry and behavioural science. He has said categorically staying in standard time or staying in daylight saving time, one or the t'other, is definitely better than switching twice a year. Hear, hear. Totally agree. You know, you walk around the house and all these damn electric clocks that I have no idea how to readjust those. Inflation edges up, you might have seen, 3%. That's up from 2.9%, not a lot, but it's the wrong direction. However, if you take the cost of electricity out, it comes back to 2.6%, which is right in the RBA band. Electricity costs, now listen to this, have risen 24.6% in the last 12 months. 24, that's almost 25%. Hey, do you hear that, Chris Bowen? You say cheaper? That is a lie. President Trump is right. The whole thing is a con job. Gold and silver, well, you can probably count on that. Nothing conning you there. Gold and silver up. Silver, in fact, up 50% since the beginning of the year. The ANZ Bank, speaking of money, admits that 13% of today's jobs will be lost to AI in the foreseeable future. Very sobering thought. Who is safe? And as the big bosses arrive from Singapore to have a chat with the guys who run Optus, well, they own it. Singapore, I mean. They've had another triple O outage. That's 2 in recent times. Oh, I can safely forecast some job losses there, I think. According to Choice magazine, Aldi remains the cheapest supermarket. Coles, the best for freshness. But when you look at it, and the basket that they measure against supermarket, against supermarket, against supermarket, there's only $1 or less than $1 separating all of the different companies. Not a lot in it. Crime is through the roof in Victoria. Car stealing, 40% up on last year. Aggravated burglary, up 13%. This is where they come into your house with a machete. Just yesterday in Burke Street, 4 youths in a BMW. They jump out while the car's still moving. A bystander actually gets into the car, risks his life, gets into the car to put his foot on the brake. Stop running over people. The kids run into mire with the police after them. They've been arrested. Now, it'll be interesting to see if they get bail and are out by Wednesday. Now, you would imagine that the Libs would be miles ahead in the polls, but no. Election time, it would have to be the issue. Law and order. And, oh yeah, cost of living. But law and order is big in Victoria. Edge early learning, closing down. Yet another one. Not sure what the allegations are, all sorts of finger pointing, but listen. Cut to the chase. I was watching one mother on, I think it was Channel 9 News, saying to the camera, "I feel so bad leaving him here." Well, don't leave him there. It's that simple. Why do you have children just to put babies into childcare? Why? The solution is simple. Mother stays at home. She is the homemaker. Does the most important job in the world, being a mum, bringing up kids, the next generation. Dad goes to work. The government allows him to split his salary, share his salary with his wife for tax purposes. It benefits everyone, including the government, and of course the future generations, and society in general. President Trump's rambling speech, I don't know if you saw it. It depends on whether you're a Trump fan or you're not. President Trump's speech at the United Nations General Assembly. Europe is going to hell. Open borders and uncontrolled immigration has put Europe in great danger. It'll take you straight to hell, he says. Well, I think perfectly right. Climate change, a gigantic con. I reckon he's right. Renewables, a joke. Yep. Green energy, nonsense. The United Nations is an embarrassment, he says. Does more harm than good. Well, I say perfectly right. But this man's got chutzpah to stand up there in the United Nations with all of these people looking a little bit uncomfortable, moving around in their seats. Yes, it was a full house. Yeah, he got their attention. That takes chutzpah. Speaking of the United Nations, Anthony Albanese has revived Australia's bid for a seat on the Security Council. Why? Look around, Albo. Hardly anyone in the chamber to listen to your address. Anyway, it is what he's into. The world, the global stage. Labor, going back to 1945, Doc Evatt, one of the prime movers in establishing the UN, useless then and useless now. When was the last time the UN was relevant? Useful. You know, I don't know. Stopped a war. Ended a famine. God knows. And it costs a fortune. And the elevators and the escalators don't even work. Well, according to Trump. China will cut its emissions by 7 to 10%. Oh, really? 30% of global emissions, thank you, China, they get applause for a 10% cut. And who's going to check that they actually do? Let's see, applause for China. They produce 30% of emissions. We produce 1%. We commit to 62 to 70% reduction. You see, China will not crucify its economy and people to pacify these idiots. But idiots are running Australia. God help us. We make no difference to anything, except, of course, our own cost of living. The address to the United Nations by the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, I don't know if you saw it, he didn't read the room very well. But then again, the Israelis don't kowtow to anyone. Forceful. I think accurate, intelligent, and decisive, his speech. Up to 90% of Palestinians are followers of Hamas, he said. That's just about everybody. Evil, murderous terrorists. Those who walked out on his speech were, I think, foolish. Yes, there were many of them who did, but his message was clear. Those who reward Palestine with statehood are rewarding terrorism. It is that simple. For the Australian Labor Party, it's all about those 4 Western Sydney Muslim seats that they must keep. Now, that's no way to make decisions or run a country. And when we are at the airport to greet Palestinians, Palestinian refugees into this country, do we check, or can we check, or is it possible to check to see whether they are Hamas or not? Or don't we care? The take-up of childhood vaccination has fallen alarmingly, dramatically. Doctors fear that many diseases long extinct or seldom seen could make a dangerous comeback. Why? Surely it's a parent's responsibility to vaccinate their children. I think this anti-vax thing is coming out of America. It's like climate change. They just change the science to suit the argument, their agenda. But you can't argue with anti-vaxxers like you can't argue with the climate people. Closed minds. That's absolutely it. Now, we're here with the best wishes of the rising sun, and very happy to be here in the garage talking to you as we do on a Tuesday and a Thursday morning. And of course on Friday we go round the dining room table, live streaming. The Rising Sun is at 60 Bridge Street at Kensington. That telephone number, if you'd like to give them a ring, if you want to make a booking or make an inquiry, 8333 0721. Grant, Jackie, and a very caring and professional staff will look after you at the Rising Sun. And Elder Fine Art Gallery, Melbourne Street, North Adelaide, with another auction coming up. There'll be one before the end of the year, and it'll be a Bobby Dazzler too. It'll be a big one. And the people at Elder Fine Art are out scouting for all of the pictures that are going up on the wall for that big auction, which will be beamed around the world and will get some fantastic prices. Elder Fine Art, 8267 2869 for a free appraisal. Find out if that painting is worth keeping or selling. Now, happy birthday if you're having a birthday. Let me grab my glasses and see what's happening, what's cooking, what are we remembering the day for? September 30, Samuel Slocum. Does that name ring a bell? Samuel Slocum. He's the guy who patented on this day the stapler. Yeah, stapler. 1841 was the year. The Flintstones, the first animated sitcom created by Hanna-Barbera, premieres on ABC in the United States. 1960 was the year. The first Boeing 747 rolled off the assembly line way back in, 1968. Goodness me. And they're still going strong, you know. It's still a great aeroplane. The Treaty of Munich was signed by Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, and Neville Chamberlain. Forces Czechoslovakia to give territory to Germany. Chamberlain's infamous speech, "Peace in our time," at London Airport upon his return to London. 1938 was the year. So you can't trust these bastards. You really can't. Britain first evacuates citizens in anticipation of war in 1939, this day. And I guess when you say evacuate citizens, they sent a lot of kids into the country, didn't they? 1940, 47 German aircraft shot down on this day. And the war continued to 1945. 1935, on this day, Johnny Mathis, the American pop artist, Chances Are, Wild as the Wind, the 12th of Never. He was born in Gilmer, Texas. Great voice, still alive, still going strong, well into his, 85. That would make him 90, nearly 100, wouldn't it? Yeah. When I say still going strong, I mean, if you're breathing at that age. Although we had that wonderful bloke around the dining room table, Harry Young, I think it was, wasn't it? Played tennis. And still playing tennis at 101, competition tennis. So it can be done. Yes. John Howard's Australian government gun buyback scheme ends with more than 640,000 guns, firearms compulsorily acquired, including many newly illegal semi-automatic rifles and shotguns. Well, they weren't illegal until they were made illegal. 640,000 firearms. That was 1997. Contentious, certainly. Robinson Crusoe is shipwrecked on this day. Don't laugh. 1659. Robinson Crusoe is shipwrecked, according to Daniel Defoe's famous novel. Deborah Carr, American actress, The King and I, Knight of the Iguana, born in Scotland. She died in 2007. I had the pleasure of talking to her. She had it's not mentioned here, but she did have another wonderful movie called Tea and Sympathy, which was a beautiful movie. Not one of her most successful, but I thought it was a great movie. 1921 she was born. The first manned rocket plane flight by automaker Fritz von Opel. 1929. Patrick White, Australian writer and playwright, Nobel Prize for Literature in 73, dies at 78 on this day in 1990. And the Pinewood Studios, the famous Pinewood Studios in England, were opened on this day in 1936. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for viewing the Court of Public Opinion. I look forward to your company on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, when we'll post another edition. And, of course, on the Friday live streaming around the dining room table. 0491 65 68 60. You can call us anytime between 9 o'clock and 12. Interesting guests, interesting conversation, and a somewhat unpredictable atmosphere. I'll put it that way. Thank you for viewing the Court of Public Opinion. Believe in yourself, and goodbye for now.